Welcome to yet another episode of the Splitfire Gaming Podcast. This is a exciting brand new guest, so welcome Charlie to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
So this is not only the first time you've been on the podcast, but also the first time you've ever heard of the channel. Is that correct?
Of course, yeah. It's just a small channel, independent.
201 subscribers as of now.
It's booming.
I'm 799 subscribers away from being monetized, so I can retire.
Well, that's the dream, isn't it?
You're, of course, no stranger to being on other podcasts are available. There's a reference.
Yeah, that is a reference. Perfectly brought up.
What was it like going on their one?
It was good. It was. Yeah, I can't complain really. It's a real professional outfit, much like this, of course.
Yeah, no, they have a studio.
Wow. Yeah, of course they do. Yeah, studio. That's what we'll call it.
Is that kind of a behind the curtain thing that it actually it's clever camera tricks to make it look bigger than it actually is?
Oh, expert camera work from the chieftain.
Well, it's better than this because there is no camera work.
No camera work needed means, wow, does that mean it's better? Don't have to worry?
Means it's cheaper.
Well, there you go.
I don't have staff, but then I don't have £40,000 a month in subscription revenue coming in like the Triple Crown guys definitely do.
Yeah, of course. I mean, none of them work.
No, that's what I believe, and I won't be looking into it any further.
No, we just leave it there.
Speaking of Triple Crown, there's a segue.
Beautifully done.
Learn from this. We went to Triple Crown's narrative event this year, which was Araby Ablaze.
We did.
Which is a one-off, a one-shot. The last year was the end of that Athel Lauren adventure, which, as a recurring Wood Elf player, was that a hard wrench to go from Athel Lauren to the desert?
I'm actually heartbroken that I never attended a single one of the previous narratives. So,
oh, didn't you?
No, I didn't. But part of me is very thrilled because obviously it took a dark turn for the mighty and true elves of the old world.
I have weaker opinions on the Wood Elves than I do the Dark Elves because they're just like petulant children rather than.
Well, let's save this debate.
Just hang on, wait a minute.
Save this debate for fisticuffs.
We might revisit this one in a future episode. Spoilers. Yeah, so you didn't, even though you're a Wood Elf aficionado, you didn't take the Wood Elves to Araby.
No. I'd like to think I got peer pressured into taking Warriors of Khorne, but really, Rob Nixon just sort of said, take them. And I went, okay.
He's got that magnetic personality, hasn't he? Because he didn't turn up because of some pathetic excuse.
some weak reason.
Yeah.
It doesn't wash over with me.
No, like, he's not pregnant.
Exactly.
So it doesn't stop him from going anywhere.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
But he did make a associative appearance at the narrative weekend, if you like.
Yeah, he was honoured in a name for one of the models.
He was indeed, yeah.
What was it? Was it the?
It was my glorious Bone Grinder Giant.
Bone Grinder, that was it.
Rob Nixon, painted with the beautiful ginger beard and Rob's own tattoos on him as well.
Wow!
There you go. That's dedication.
Did he know about that before?
He did. Yeah.
That's all right. So I could find out about it.
To be honest, he specifically requested it.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
All legit. Well, I suppose normally it's Scott that I go through this with. So if you want to impersonate Scott's accent.
I've tried a Geordie accent in preparation, but it tends to just start being Welsh and then go back to Geordie. So I don't know. It's probably one of the ones I'm not very good at.
Well, like Rob, Scott also didn't turn up for this one, so it's a narrower contingent from the north. It was just
It was.
me and somebody who might have won it technically.
No, not technically.
Well,
Let's
no,
just
he
put it
didn't.
that way.
He didn't win, but he had the most successes. That's how it works.
That's how it works. Yeah.
So the gist of Araby Ablaze is, if you've never done a narrative before, I strongly recommend them because it doesn't. It's a different way of playing the game, to the point where you can throw away very valuable units and still win, as it's mission point based. So
Yeah, that's certainly what I found anyway.
And as if anyone who's listened to the one from last year, where I repeatedly said play the mission to myself and ignored myself, I tried not to ignore that advice this term.
How did that go for you?
Quite well, except in one game. But the plot this year is there's in Araby there is a sultan who's sort of boss of all the little mini sultans. He's turned into a demon prince. The other sultans aren't happy about this, so his daughter has taken over the kingdom, and there's a rival sultan who wants to take over and become in charge to make sure the taint of chaos hasn't infected the kingdoms.
Pretty much beautifully encapsulated.
There you go. See, I read the pack.
I just well,
not on the way home like I have done on previous occasions.
Yeah, well, we won't talk about the first Derby death match.
That's why I didn't realise the comp scores weren't added until
Weren't
I was
added.
They've fucking done the scores wrong. I've been done out of 2. Oh no, they haven't.
2 whole points.
I would have been 17th instead of 19th. You've put me off now. What was the top? Oh yeah, Araby. So the good guys are on the side of this guy who's trying to take over the kingdom, that's him.
Yeah.
And Jezebella, who's the Sultan's daughter, who's wanting to maintain her birthright. Lots of Aladdin-themed inspirations throughout.
Some more than others.
Yeah. And you also got a genie. Every army got a genie to help them. Who was it was earth, water, air, and fire. There was a wish dice mechanic, which was pretty good. I thought it was
I really enjoyed that wish dice mechanic, actually. I just think if you didn't actually forget about it in the first game, like some people did, it actually could come up trump.
It also made certain things, spells, saves, and that a lot less of a sure thing, because if you're rolling characteristic tests, it's that easy to save your character or save your big thing by swapping it out for a 1, which is really important. It came out a lot more often than I thought it would.
Yeah, I was just hoping to get 1-5 out of the 3 wish dice, just so I had that automatic passed ward save on the Demon Prince.
Did it happen very often?
Twice, I think. I failed. I think I failed to get the wish dice once though, but didn't die.
It's acceptable. Acceptable trade-off.
You had to have you had to pass a leadership to use your wish dice, didn't you?
Yeah, leadership test on the genie's unmodified leadership. Couldn't re-roll it, and they were leadership 8.
Yeah, so it wasn't a sure thing.
But if you know anything about how I roll leadership tests, there's the second game I didn't pass any. But these things happen with genies.
These things happen.
So what did you take? What was your list that you went to Araby with?
Obviously, the Demon Prince was mandatory. So I had Demon Prince Kenneth. Mark of Corn, which...
You're taking this seriously.
Kenneth? Kenneth with Mark of Corn. Reason I took that will become apparent later in the list. You also had to run Marauders, so I was weighing up whether to take a small unit of Marauders, just get them out of the way, and then take an actual competitive unit in core like Warriors. But that's not narrative, so I just went with 39 Marauders with flails and full command.
Well known as the powerhouse of the Warriors list.
I mean, I didn't realise how bad they were.
Aren't they just like state troops, just on a bigger base?
They're swordsmen on a bigger base with +1 initiative.
That's all right.
Yes. And also +1 attack because they're Mark of Khorne.
Of course.
But you could. What was nice is you could take 1 unit of Chaos Knights as core. So I had 5 Chaos Knights of Khorne in core because I'm never going to use them otherwise.
I should probably point out you didn't have to take. They had narrative lists for each army, which switched around some of the things you could take, like Knights in core, for example.
Yeah.
You didn't have to take a narrative list, but it was worth 2 mission points per mission if you did.
Yeah, I think everyone but 1 from memory took a narrative list.
I think that's right.
So that's why I had Knights in core, and then the reason I think most people when they took Chaos took Khorne was because you could have Skull Crushers in special and more than 1 unit of Skull Crushers in special if your Demon's Prince was Khorne.
Well, by the rate they were being turned out, I assume the Realm of Chaos was completely devoid of
completely empty of Juggernauts. Yeah, because I had 2 units of 4 with Standard and Musician and Ensorcelled Weapons. Because I don't think I'll ever be able to put 8 Skull Crushers on a table ever again, unfortunately, because it was one of my favourite things of the weekend from memory. And then what else did I had? Oh, Matilda, my Gore Beast Chariot, ever present in my list because it's just basically a really slow dragon, isn't it?
Is it toughness 6?
Toughness 6, 5 wounds and a 3 up arm save.
Not a fan.
They're so good. And then in rare we had Grobnitz and the Bone Grind Giant. Oh, and a BSB.
And what was the every narrative army had an army-wide ability as long as the general is alive?
Yeah, so mine was that I just get +1 combat resolution and on the turn I charge. So a charge is worth 2 combat resolution.
That's pretty good.
It did come at trumps a couple of times actually, just to stop me losing combat more than me winning by a landslide. But it was nice. What did the High Elves bring to Araby?
Well, the narrative list was it was supposed to be Imric's sister who'd been exiled for one reason or another from Calador, so it was very dragon themed. So you had to take an archmage on a dragon of some description. So I took a archmage of death, your favorite lore, on a moon dragon because you can't actually afford a star dragon and a level 4 archmage.
You know, flying level 4 on death. No one asked for that.
Nothing says fluff and narrative like a level 4.
Like Count Manfred.
Yeah, that's how it works. Now, I could have actually fit 4 dragons into this list, but I bottled it and only put 3 in. So I took a noble, but everything that could take something with the word dragon in it actually did. So Archmage on Moondragon, then noble battle standard bearer on a horse with. I've just realised I'm reading my list. I just realised you had a magic item which I never used and probably could have used. Never mind. So he had dragon armor. So there's the dragon connection there. 2 units of Illyrian Reavers with full command because a lot of these missions, having read the pack this time, having read the missions before I wrote the list, thought you're going to need some banners. So they were a ludicrously expensive 125 points just to get the core tax out of the way. 15 silver helms with full command. 9 dragon princes with the banner of the world dragon because it's a dragon themed list and therefore is
Therefore,
not.
it's okay.
It is okay.
Oh yeah, and the what is it? Stubborn within 12 inches dragon.
Yeah,
That's
that's
okay.
what. That's more
That's
what.
okay as well, isn't it?
That's more what I took it for, because that's pretty good on dragons.
It's
Although
very good.
it didn't actually come in that helpful. But you could take the Storm of Magic dragons, so the normal dragon, which is equivalent to a moon dragon. It's a sixes dragon.
Fives is it sixes?
It's sixes, yeah, the normal one. The young dragon's five. I think I could have fit 5 dragons in if I'd taken young dragons, but they're not that great. But a sixes dragon's pretty good. So
Yeah.
I took a fire dragon in special, and in rare, I took a great dragon, which is
Well, a star dragon.
it is equivalent to star dragon.
Yeah.
But he had the black dragon breath, because he's painted like a carmine dragon. I thought I'll make him a black dragon, but that breath didn't come in handy.
What's
at
the
all.
black dragon breath? Is that -3 to armor saves, strength 4?
It's -3. You take a leadership test at -3, and if you fail it, you can't charge something.
Oh, that's pretty decent, actually, isn't it?
It came up 0 times in the whole because my whole plan with this list is just charge Bretonian style, get in range and charge everything in and hope for the best. So
Always be charging.
yeah, all this dancing around, flaming something, forget that. That just went straight into charge whatever's in front of us with mixed results. And I took a water genie because his spell, all the genies had a spell of getting a mission point or an individual bound spell, and his was -1 initiative and leadership. And
right,
pairing with a death mage, I thought that would be quite handy.
That's quite useful, yeah.
But it never came off. So
oh well, the genie I took was an earth genie, simply because of the other bound spell, not the mission point one, but +1 toughness on chaos is pretty nice. You can't get it any other way. So I thought toughness 5 skull crushers is horrible.
yeah,
Toughness 4 marauders is less horrible.
that makes them all right.
So just about survivable.
Yeah, that I probably should have gone for Earth Genie now that I think about it, because toughness 4 elves is pretty good.
Yeah, although water genies were, I thought about it because they're immune to death snipes, weren't they? So
yeah,
I think there were a couple of missions where if you lost your genie, you lost something like D3 mission points or something like that. And I thought death sniping a genie might come up more than I think it did. I don't think anyone got death sniped, except maybe someone who played you. I don't know.
No, well, it wasn't a snipe. In my defense, but we'll get onto that. This is because I wrote this list, and then there is a background to it, but I came up with and ran with a whole different background to this, in that it was some sort of mid-2000s neocon warhawk from Calador going on some sort of regime change mission, and it was quite disturbing how fun playing that that role actually was.
Well, just trying to think how many dragons you could fit into a normal. You've tried it before.
The most I've
High
fit for is 3, but that's 2 dragon mages.
2 characters.
Yeah, because they can't take dragons as normal monsters. So this just freed you up to do whatever you wanted.
Well, you can if you take the Triple Crown pack, like the Monstrous Arcanum.
Yeah, but that's...
Come on, get 6 on the board. That's what people want to see.
Could you do 6? Yeah, we
could
could
do 2 dragon mages, star dragon, prince or moon dragon, and then 2 normal dragons. Would that fit into
the normal dragons are 300?
Yeah, so there you go. 2 normal dragons. So what's that? 5.
That's 5.
There you go. 5 dragons and a brick of spearmen.
I hope there's not many cannons.
I'm expecting lots of cannons soon.
Well, that's the way it's tilting. That's probably a bad time to bring in the 6 dragon list or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But in my head, the priests of Vol had pressured the Caledonian government because they had all these weapons they've made that aren't being used to join in the invasion of Araby as a way to sell their weapons. So that was my whole theme.
Right. What arms dealer? A high elf arms dealer.
Or
Is
private
that what you were
military,
going into Araby as?
yeah, private military contractors, reconstruction contracts. You know,
So the democracy angle's gone, and it's now arms dealing.
well, the democracy and freedom angle was just a cut. I'm not getting political here. It was just a cover up for selling loads of weapons. So the Raytheon, spelt like Wraith, and Caliburton instead of Halliburton. See, that's some 11 o'clock show style satire for you there, if anyone remembers that.
Oh, I'm afraid that's gone over my head.
Moving swiftly on. I think I've got the missions up here. There is it, Araby Ablaze. Because I was saying there's 5 different missions.
5 new missions, yeah.
And
I really liked them, actually. I thought they were really good.
yeah, because they're all very different.
They weren't just simple, like, they weren't all land grabs or all sort of banner-based ones. So I think that was a decent mix.
Yeah, so the first one, let me just probably get this on the screen, actually.
There we go.
See, it's amazing technology.
Liquid.
It's like I've done this before. So the first one was Seas Ground.
Yeah.
So it's normal 12-inch deployment zone, but halved, and you deployed in 1 quarter.
Yeah.
And then you had to deploy in the opposite quarter.
Yeah, so it was corner sort of deployments, opposite corner deployment. And I think the mission points were at the end of game, whoever had the most sort of standard or scoring units in that corner won that corner.
So it has gone. Yeah, so you had to, if you had more standards in the table quarter, which I again read this comp pack, it's not the actual full quarter, it's the deployment quarter. You got an extra mission point.
Yeah, and is it if you had the most banners at the end of the game, you got D3?
This one was if you got a mission point every time an enemy unit standard or battle standard was slain.
That was it.
There was one like that later on.
Yeah.
And your genie counted as a banner?
Yeah, so you could just, if you kept him out of harm's way, you could just run him into a quarter.
Mine didn't. Mine just loitered for a lot of the games, but you could have done that. So that was the first one. The second one was Hold the Line, which is standard battle line deployment. And this one, you had to get as many of your standard bearers into the enemy deployment zone as possible.
Yeah, it was like a breakthrough scenario, wasn't it?
Yeah. And if you killed the genie for the opposing side, you got D3 mission points.
One.
The third one was Point of the Spear, which was a bit like what's the banners one called?
Blood and Glory.
Blood and Glory deployment. And that's where you had to put a token in the other side's board half, and then you had to get units near within 6 inches of that token, and you got a mission point at the end of the battle round. So that's where the advantage to go on second came.
Yeah.
On that one. And if your genie was on the winning side of a round of close combat, you got a mission point. The fourth one was, this was a weird one.
Sacrifice, yeah.
So there was you deployed in a 2 foot by 2 foot square on opposite sides of the board, and then there's 3 tokens down the center line of the board, and if you got a character touching that token
Or genie.
or a genie, they immediately took a wound and got a mission point.
Yeah.
And you could kill your characters to get mission points, which is where the
I think
whole
you could only kill your genie to get the sort of minus D6.
yeah, the genie could either get 1 point or he could sacrifice himself, and then the opponent lost D6 mission points.
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting because you start killing off your own characters
Just for points. But
Yeah.
that's the way the narrative works.
Yeah, let's play the mission. The last one was like meeting engagement, but it was 12
Further apart,
Yeah,
weren't
it was 12 inches to the center line rather than 6. And that was every time you miscast, the opponent's got a miscast, you got a mission point. If you kill the general, you got a mission point. You got 3 mission points if the genie was still alive at the end of the game, and at the end of the game, you got D3 mission points if you had the most standard bearers alive. Yeah. So this is sort of an interesting counter to the I'll just 6 dice the mission point spell, because if you do that, it's pointless.
You loot. Yeah, you just cancel it out.
Yeah, so you're wasting your casting dice. So they were all really good, really different missions.
Yeah,
it wasn't just
I really enjoyed them.
Yeah, like you're saying before, it wasn't just you've got to take that bit, you've got to hold that bit. It was, you had to make different decisions, get different units elsewhere in each one.
And just change each game. It couldn't be sort of, you couldn't build your list to essentially do land grabs.
Yeah,
you had to think about it differently. And I thought, well, like you said at the start, it just changes the way you play the game. So yeah,
and it's like
great.
This one, the fourth one, for example, it starts giving you a headache weighing things up because this one's a random length game, so it could end in turn 5 or it could end in turn 7. So you're thinking, if I sacrifice the genie now and I roll a 1, I've lost my genie, I can't cast the mission point spell anymore, and I haven't stopped the opponent from winning.
Yeah,
but all these sorts of things come into it, which is I kind of like that. It makes you think about what to do.
I don't think, thinking about that scenario now, someone who, say, running Orcs and Goblins or Lizard Men could just run a load of skink characters or Goblin characters and just sacrifice them cheaply. Like, what's that? Or like Skaven Warlock Engineers for 15 points.
Yeah.
2 wounds, that's 2 mission points. Just take 4 of them, that's 8 mission points.
Well, I was also thinking, if you're taking life magic, you could just put someone on there and just cast cheap spells and just regenerate the wound and keep stacking up mission points.
It's narrative cheese.
I thought of that after or during the battle. So actually, it's not death; it's lower life this time. Yeah, you're allowed to do that. I thought they were really interesting missions.
I do. Yeah, I do.
Just something a bit different. So, how did your first battle go, which was Seize Ground?
This one was the land grab, essentially, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I was up against ogres, and that was sort of the ogre fluff was man-eater school, essentially. So they could have one unit of man-eaters in core, and the bull unit that they had also got sort of a pseudo been there, done that rule. So they could have one been there, done that rule for as long as the general was alive.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good, yeah. So I was up against Jake Gray's ogres. Really nice guy. Coming into the weekend, I thought ogres could be quite a nice matchup for me. I just thought, as long as they don't take loads of small units, I might be able to just blow through them. I mean, 4 skull crushers can blow through pretty much anything.
Yeah, I'm used to that.
So you can see on the right there, he had his fire genie. I'm surprised at how many people took a fire genie. I thought he was the worst one personally, but yeah, because what was the fire genie's bounce spell? It was something like -1 armor save and D3 strength 4 hits.
Have a look. See, I've got the
To me,
compact to hand.
To me, that doesn't sound great.
Fire Genie, yeah, D3 strength 4 hits, flaming hits, and -1 armor save till the caster's next magic phase.
It was a hex though, so they could do those hits in combat, which is quite nice. But yeah, he had his fire genie there behind a horde of what's that? 6, 12, so 11 lead belchers, which is absolutely horrific. And he's also got his BSB in there, who had one of the campaign banner of filth, which was poison attacks, just in general.
Oh,
So
it's
he had,
shooting poison.
yeah, he had 11d6 poison shots.
I'm glad I never faced this list.
Yeah, and we worked out it was 42 shots on average he should be getting with poison and -2 to armor save. So that was horrific. And then in the middle in that wood, he had his big brick of, I think it was 12 bulls. He only had a butcher in there, I think. And then he had his 2 units of man-eaters on the left of that wood. So he had 1 unit with the typical snipe poison double ogre pistols, a unit of 8 there, and then he had a unit of 6 man-eaters with stubborn swift stride, I think, and that had his tyrant and another butcher in, I think. So it was an interesting list. It was one that I was just thinking I'm just going to have to get up the board as quick as possible.
Is that the entire army?
Yeah, so this is where I started to feel slightly more confident because it's just that. Yeah, and there's my list. So I completely had the drops on him, which was nice because I could just put things sort of just far enough away where I'd get a nice movement phase, or he could take first turn and not be able to shoot me even if he had to move up. So yeah, I was just the knights there. You can see at the bottom are just literally just going for a land grab and they're going to sit in the corner. That was their plan. Everything else just moves up. So yeah, and then on to turn 1. He got turn 1, and obviously ogre those hand cannon things have only got range 18, I think, or even 24. He's out of range for 24, so he couldn't shoot me the first turn. So that allowed he just sort of moved out to the left with his 2 man-eater units to try and essentially go for the corner and sit in that for the rest of the game. But yeah, he couldn't do any wounds to me on the first turn, so it was really quick first turn. He was only running sort of a level 2 on more, maybe. So nothing much happened the first 2 turns. It was a really quick game. I think we were done before. I think I went over to your game after hours, and you were on something like turn 4.
That just looks really compact. That ogre army, just in. I know you are deployed in like it's only what it's 12 by
24.
20. Yeah, so it's.
I think.
Oh no, it's 3 feet in it because it's half the.
12 by 36, isn't it? Yeah.
But still, you seem to have made maximum use of the space available.
I just thought it was first mission of the weekend, so your mantra of play the mission was fresh in my mind. It was just like, for God's sake, play the mission, Charlie. Like, do not get carried away with just charging. So I just thought, right, the Marauders can just move up into that corner and sit there for the entire game. I don't care about them. And like you say, with the mission points, big, expensive monsters like Star Dragons, Bone Grinders, Demon Princes, they don't score you anything. So you can just use them as nuclear missiles and go and kill stuff. which I really enjoyed because you don't have to worry about losing your general or your 375 point monster.
It is quite refreshing to having lost like a third, quarter of your army's points allowance in one or two models. Going, that's fine.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. No worries.
Doesn't really affect much.
This awful unit of Marauders is where the pain train is. So as you can see now, sort of things have redeployed for Jake. He's moved his man-eaters over, and he's had to turn them because he's seen Grobniks and thundering up the board. And with the
Just like real
units,
life.
yeah, exactly. There you go. He was there in spirit. And then the two Skull Crusher units, I was actually really happy with how I played this because you've got all those shots and they don't suffer anything but cover. So I just thought all I'm going to do is run the two units behind each other, give the front unit +1 toughness, so they're wounded on 5s, and he can't really hit the second unit. And then the Gorbeast is just trundling up the board as fast as possible, which isn't fast, it's 6 inches a turn. But he managed to get 37 shots on his first Dead Belchers, and about 9 of them were poison. So he didn't have a great luck with the dice, to be honest. So he managed to kill 1 Skull Crusher. That was it from his Man-Eaters and Dead Belchers. Just 1 Skull Crusher.
And was that the critical turn, as in next turn you're getting the charge?
I'd say the next one's probably the critical turn. Because he's still quite a way away from me. I think he's something like... I had to charge. It was sort of a 16-inch charge. So it was a 9 on 3 dice. Unfortunately, I failed the first one. So he had another round of shooting. But again, I don't think he did much. But Rob Nixon did. Rob Nixon had a great turn 2.
Yeah.
I think it's on the next one. Yeah. I mean, arguably my favourite thing of the weekend, but Rob did do some other magnificent things this weekend. He ran into his character bus of man-eaters, and they were stubborn swift strides, strength 7, with 4 attacks on the front rank, I think they get, and 3 for behind. But they were all, every single one of them except the Tyrant had a great weapon, so I was going first.
Oh, nice.
Which, when you're in Initiative 1, is just
It's a big
fantastic.
thing, yeah.
So his Tyrant swung at me and did no wounds. Just completely fluffed his attacks. Did no wounds because I'm toughness 7. And I went to roll Grob's attacks, and it was pick up and. So he picked up the Tyrant. The Tyrant missed his attack on a 3-up. So Grob threw the Tyrant off the board. Because this is the first time I was using a Giant, so I didn't know they just picked up the model and it was dead. Nothing, just no saves, nothing. No D6 wounds, just pick up and dead. So it was throw back into combat, but that didn't do anything. It did no wounds. And the Tyrant was dead, so I just said he threw him off the board. Just had enough of him. And then he got to Thunder Stomp on the unit.
I assume that was quite effective. It's 2d6, isn't it?
No, it's only D6, but
Oh,
you can Thunder Stomp everything except other things like him. So you can Thunder Stomp other monsters as well.
I thought Bone Grinders were 2d6.
No, Skullcrackers. So Chaos Dwarf Skullcrackers.
Yeah.
They're 2d6 Thunder Stomp. But yeah, so Grob picked up the Tyrant, threw him off the board, and that lost his Bulls unit. I think they had poison with additional hand weapons.
So they lost the army-wide.
They lost the army-wide ability of one of the Been Dead Done That. So that was good. I don't know if I've got many other pictures of this game.
I think
unfortunately my picture taking game is not brilliant. But essentially what happened was the Skull Crushers just went into the Bull unit, massacred it. They stuck and got charged in the flank with Man-Eaters. But by that time, my Gorby's chariot was an absolute champion. It charged into the Lead Belcher horde, killed the BSB immediately, which meant no more poison, then killed enough to make the Lead Belchers over 2 rounds of combat lose combat and be ran down. So I got them. And then eventually over the last couple of turns, my Skull Crushers minced the Man-Eaters and the Bulls. So eventually all that Jake had was his genie, which I couldn't have unfortunately get. And I think I won handsomely by 11-6. So it was a really good start to the tournament. I've only won one first round game at a tournament. So yeah, great times.
Start as you
How
mean
about you?
one. Well, I fought some demons. So because of that bizarre deployment.
That looks like a very strange deployment.
Well, because I know they've got the speed, and there's nothing really that's going to hit me first turn. There's no cannons or anything, so I'm not that concerned about bunching them up. So I deployed like that, but as you find out, because the Dragon Princes are like where they are, they're that much further away to get to anything.
Yeah.
So when they scatter, they're like, I'm trying to keep the Silver Helms and the Dragon Princes together. But anyway, so I'm fighting, and it's Slaanesh allied with Tzeentch, and their army-wide thing is, as long as the general's alive, they don't suffer any of the negatives on the demonic, the Reign of Chaos chart, which is really, really good.
Nurgle doesn't hit Tzeentch and Khorne doesn't hit Slaanesh.
No, they don't suffer anything. So
that's really good. That
you're the only person that suffers is the opponent.
Oh, that's really good actually, because that means they won't get summoned back or lose -1 ward save.
Yeah, it's
bloody hell.
John was probably
that changes it.
John was probably getting annoyed because I was getting, and it doesn't affect you. No, it doesn't. And it doesn't affect you. Like, no.
Do they still get the +1 ward save?
Yeah, I think it's just the the gods that hate each other.
Yeah,
it's just that it doesn't affect them. In fact, I'll tell you, it's on the comp somewhere.
That is good. That takes the random nature of playing demons out of the equation, doesn't it?
It's certainly helpful that you're not going to get destroyed by your own means of magic. I'll tell you. There's the list. Oh, there we go. Demons of Chaos. So their rule is, while the general's alive, you may ignore your own units when determining who is hit by Rock, Glorious Rock, and Khorne's Wrath on the Reign of Chaos results.
Okay.
So nobody's getting the bad stuff. You can get the -1 ward save, but deal with that, I suppose. But anyway, so he's got the Demon Prince, which I don't know if I've got a better picture of this actually.
That was it a Demon Prince or a Keeper of Secrets?
It was a Demon Prince.
It was a Demon
It had to take a Demon Prince, which is...
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Well, you say that. But anyway, I tried to... I think he goes first, actually. But anyway, by turn 2, I've charged the Silver Helms and the Seven's Dragon into the... I can never remember what these are called. The Monstrous Cavalry Slaanesh things.
Monstrous Cav or the Fiends?
Fiends, sorry, yeah.
Fiends, yeah.
Now, this is standard Rubber Lance syndrome in that they die. A few of them, you'll notice, have dared going through the woods, and then this doesn't do anything. So this just lasts for way longer than I think it should. But I do use the genie ability to get that charge off, because I rolled a 6. I think it was 655 or something. So I swapped the 6 out. I might as well, before I forget to use it completely. I might as well do that. So because he's deployed the bigger units away, because of the deployment, away from the cavalry and anything that hit them, I've got to sort of make a decision about whether to try and get to them with the cavalry or just forget it and just try to go what's nearer. So I just thought, I'll go for whatever's nearest. That's a Soul Grinder in the middle next to the Flamers.
Yeah. That's a job for your dragons.
Yeah. And I've seen what they can do against dragons or monsters and things.
Well, they're horrific if you're going against a low initiative.
Which he's initiative 2, the big dragon.
That's what a wish dice is for.
True, but I didn't really know. I didn't really have a plan for this because the things I want to hit or I'm going to be best at are miles away, and the things that are going to be tougher and closer to me, and I kind of get the Demon Prince, and the death magic's not. It's not brilliant against Slanesh. It's all right against Zinch.
Yeah, how many Zinch units did he have?
So he's got the Flamers, and he's got 2 units of Horrors in the big
Right.
Horrors in the back, and I think that's a Zinch Soul Grinder, and he's got the Screamers off to the top right there. So they're going round dueling with the the Reavers, which they've got nothing to do.
Which are land grabbing.
Yeah, so you could push them into the. But then he can't get the deployment zone because he's deployed. He's walled off his deployment zone quite well, so fast cav can't sneak round. So that fight doesn't really do anything. Me mage sort of goes round the back because I think I realised about a third of the way through the game that this is the banner killing one. Play the mission. And I haven't killed any banners, and the units I've gone for don't have any banners. So the mage goes for the pink horrors around the back. He purple suns a few. I think he gets it. I think he gets it one of them off, and it doesn't do that much damage. But because it's depleted one of the units in the building, by the time 2 turns further on, I managed to wipe out that unit in combat.
Yeah.
So that was quite helpful. But this, even though I am a Demons of Zinch player, I charged they charged me. I thought that'll be fine. Then he cast Hysterical Frenzy on them, and I thought still probably be fine. So he manages to wound the mage and bring him down to 1 wound, and I use his genie dice to save him. To pass his ward, so I think that's fine. And then I thought, oh no, there's the blue horror rule. So I think he had 16 blue horror attacks. I thought I've massively miscalculated here. Fortunately, they all fail to wound him.
I had no idea that these blue horror attacks existed.
Yeah, so every time a pink horror dies, I think it gets either 1 or D3, 2 or D3, depending on the upgrade. Hits or attacks back, so it's split into the blue horrors, and then the blue horror just wanders off. So the more of them you kill, the more attacks that are coming back against the mage. He's only toughness 3. I know he needs 1 wound to kill him, but fortunately I get away with it. The Demon Prince charges into the side of the Star Dragon, and that just goes on forever. So he makes a load of his ward saves, and because it's toughness 7, it doesn't get wounded. So so they just do nothing for the remainder of the. I don't even think they got the Demon Prince died at the end. But fortunately, because I've realised halfway through the game that I'm supposed to be playing the mission, I kill the pink horrors there with the dragon. My other dragon, the other moon dragon equivalent, goes after the other unit of pink. It goes into the flamers in the side and then overruns into the other unit of pink horrors. So I managed to get 2 banners there, and I've cast enough of the mission point spell, and I think I won by 6-4. But I was convinced I'd lost at the end until he said, "Oh no, I've only got 4." I'm like, oh, so I think those 2 extra castings of the mission point spell were crucial. And because by the end of it, I had all that mess in the middle sort of drifted over to his side. So I had more. I think I could claim another banner for being in there.
With more fortification.
Yeah, because his banner units had been depleted. I think he only had the the Slanesh unit had sort of come round to try to come after the Dragon Princes, because he tried to charge the chariot and the demonettes into the Dragon Princes, but he failed like by 1 each time. Like, that's horrendous stuff, but it worked out all right for me. So it was a good start.
We both started on a win.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
very good.
after that, I think the bad guys had started off winning overall.
Yeah, I think we were ahead after round 1. Yeah.
And I think I've only got one picture of your.
I don't even know if this. I think this might. Yeah, this will be my only game 2 picture. I think. Because
No, that's not it.
oh no, that's game 3. So game 2, I was up against Dave Churchill's High Elves, and unlike another High Elf player, he didn't bottle it and went for 4 dragons.
And he gave me a load of grief for that, but fair enough.
Yeah, he went for 4 dragons, and I want to use this moment to say this is why I didn't take any photos at all, because he plopped 4 massive dragons. Some of them were huge as well, because they were like third party or 3D printed. So he popped them on the table, and I just like flop sweat just descended upon me as I thought, oh god, no, because it was the breakthrough scenario as well. So it was just like get units into your opponent's deployment zone. I was like, oh, that's fine. These dragons can't get they don't have banners, so they don't count. And then he dropped 3 units of Reavers with banners in, and I was just like, well, this army's not made to deal with fast cav. So I just thought he had 3 units of 5 with Reavers with sort of the bows, spears, musician, and banners. He then had a really big unit of 14 or 15 silver helms. He had a small unit of 5 dragon princes. He had a 6's dragon, another 6's dragon, a 5's dragon, and a 7's dragon. I think one of the 6's was the Archmage, obviously. But on Heavens, which I thought was an interesting choice, because he only had two units of sort of heavy cavalry, and one was only 5 big. So, but when you think about Heaven's Magic, you think like Bretonians or fully mounted Empire for the rerolling 1-set armor saves.
Yeah.
And also, if you drop a comet with Heavens when all your stuff flies around the board, you kind of saying, I'm not going to comet where the bad guys are, because you're just going to hit your own stuff.
The narrative list for High Elves did seem to push you in that direction. You know, either take the big unit of Dragon Princes and not the extra dragon, or vice versa.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just to be honest, the main thing I was actually worried about, I was still at this point in my head playing the missions. So I was just like, right, I don't know what I'm going to do with these Reavers. So I just thought, right, the Demon Prince can just be on Reaver duty. Maybe tear one off, because they were right on the flanks. 1 on my right flank and 2 on my left flank. So I just thought, right, the Demon Prince can try and terror them off the board, maybe flame them off the board, and possibly charge one. Grob had another incredible moment in this game, which probably did trump throwing the Tyrant off the board. So the Gorbies and Grob went into the Dragon Princes, obviously just wiped them out immediately. That was about turn 2. It might have even been turn 1, because he took. Yeah, it was turn 1 because he took turn 1. So they went up. Grob then overran, needed a 12 to get into the Silver Helms, got an 11, so just parked in front of the Silver Helms. I wasn't that bothered, because they're only strength 5 on the charge, he's toughness 7, so I just figured that'll be fine. I don't care how many attacks they've got, they shouldn't do 10 6s.
Even with the genie dice, you're not going to do that, are you?
No, exactly. Whereas the dragons were just causing me an absolute nightmare. They were just flying around the board. parking themselves in front of knights, parking themselves in front of skull crushers, just saying, "Come on, hit me." It's like that scene in Matrix where it's just Morpheus just going, "Come on, stop trying to hit me." So I charged my knights, I think, into the back of one of the Sevens dragon, and through some miracle held it up for one turn and didn't die. And then got charged by one of the Sixes dragon and got annihilated. Grob then got charged by the Silver Helms, and they did 6 wounds, which completely blew my mind. And obviously, the only thing that goes against the Bone Grinder is it's just not got any save. It relies on that high toughness. So I was down to 4 wounds.
Elf
Skull
shooting's
Crush.
pretty good against them. And,
Yeah,
you need to
well,
roll them
like,
6s.
I was just thinking, oh god, like if I come up against lizard men, I'm dead. Like just 2 units of skinks over 2 turns are just going to kill him. Thankfully that didn't happen. But I had nothing to do with my skull crushers. I was just trying to get them into positions where I could hopefully take out one dragon at a turn, and they just didn't. I think I killed one of his dragons, but because they weren't scoring points, it just didn't bother me that they were on my side. Rob then eventually, sadly, got killed after killing maybe 3 of the Silver Helms. That's it. He got killed by the Silver Helms, and then Dave reminded me that they fall over. So I was like, oh yeah, okay. So I threw the scatter dice, and I could not have placed it any better. It fell, and we just started burst out laughing because it just fell directly onto the Silver Helms. Each one's strength 8d6 wounds.
Is that in a nice Silverhelm bush shape?
Yeah. And it was completely dead unit, just off the board immediately. So Grob's died in 2 games, but he's thrown a tyrant off the board and fallen on an entire bus of Silver Helms and killed them. So yeah, I was pretty happy with Grob there again. Absolutely ludicrous. I just didn't know what was going on. He then eventually, I think, wiped out 1 unit of Skull Crushers. He sat 1 unit of Reavers on my right board corner, which was just in amongst my pile of dead, which included 39 Marauders at BSB, which died on turn 2. Star Dragon. So I couldn't do anything about those Reavers, but it was only through a complete bit of blind luck that I managed to get a win by 1 mission point. I think I was trying to cast mission points, but he had +4 wizard levels on me. So I couldn't really, and I wasn't rolling miscasts. So Kenneth Hera charged. No, he charged one of the Reavers. They elected to flee, and then they failed their rally test right on my board edge and fled off the board. On leadership, no, yeah, and the banner's gone, and it's not in my sort of deployment anymore. And I just walked up my other unit, Skull Crushers, walked up my genie, and I think it ended up just being my genie and my Skull Crushers in his deployment zone, and he had 1 unit of Reavers in mine, and that was it. It ended up being 6-5 to me. So I'd started day 1 with 2 wins, which was just, unfortunately, it meant I was likely going to be on the top table, which terrified the life out of me.
They're ratcheting up the scoreboard.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't believe it. It was all to do with Grob.
Well, he's doing the work for you.
I know. Grobnick's an MVP.
Well, my game 2 was against Warriors of Chaos. So this wasn't a narrative list. So I think he had a unit of 5 Skull Crushers with a character in, and then a big unit of warriors. It's all Khorne, a Demon Prince of Khorne, some dogs, a Hell Cannon, and I think that was it.
So yeah, he's missing the Marauders. I don't think we could take a hell cannon. So that's what made it not a narrative list, I guess.
Right. Yeah. There was no hell cannon for this, was there?
No.
So I just deploy in a line. So there's dragon, the silver helms there. Next to them is the dragon princes. You'll see the in the bottom left. That's where my wizard went. Again, this is a high initiative army. So Purple Sun, the standard, very technical tactic that you've got to sort of line up in a line and blast Purple Sun repeatedly until the army's dead.
Yeah, even the other death snipes aren't great against the Demon Prince, are they?
High leadership, high initiative,
High strength,
high toughness. So there's nothing. I mean, I think turn one I kill his BSB with a death snipe, which is just luck. But that's quite handy because it's a BS, banner. You can get
yeah, it's a banner gun, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's quite good. It didn't continue that way all the way.
Yeah, I didn't realise you effectively played a mirror match to me.
Apparently so, yeah. Banding this all out. So the dragon goes hunting for the hell cannon because his turn one he lands a hell cannon hit straight on the wizard's head. So I'm already burning genie dice to pass the ward save on him. This is a one where for some reason I just didn't know what to do or what to go for. So I probably should have just gone straight for the cannon anyway.
Yeah.
With everything and then turn them around. But so the dragons are sort of dancing around in the middle of the board. I tried to cast Doom and Darkness on it to make it fail its leadership test, but he rolled a 3. So even on whatever leadership it was easily passed.
Yeah.
So he gets tied up fighting that for about three combat rounds, or perhaps even more, because he just passes the ward saves again. In the meantime, his Demon Prince has come forward, but his Skull Crushers make a 10-inch charge on the Silver Helms and just annihilate them.
Right. That's not going to go well.
So it's not a great start. There's a flag down. They overrun and then go into the bolt thrower, which is next to them, and go through them and off the board. And then come back. So at the price of a bolt thrower and a unit of Silver Helms, I've bought myself an extra turn of them not doing anything, which is not really a great trade, I wouldn't have thought. But in the middle, the Dragon Princes go into the Demon Prince, which I don't know if I've got this as my next picture. This mess in the middle. So
glorious.
The Dragon Princes initially go into the Demon Prince, who's got a magic weapon, and they've got the Banner of the World Dragon. So that goes nowhere for a bit. The big unit of warriors goes into the side of the Dragon Princes to help them out. They manage to pass their leadership because they make some... cavalry armor has apparently been significantly upgraded because I was making loads of armor saves throughout all this, where normally I just think if the cavalry just die because they haven't got 1 up, it's only 2
No,
ups.
they'll be on a 3 up, wouldn't they, with warriors in the side?
Well, I think he had halberds, so they'd be on a
4 up.
4 up. So they weren't dying as a faster rate as I thought they would. So they managed to last long enough so I could put 2 dragons into the back of them, and then that unit, it broke, but I didn't chase it for some reason. I'm not sure why. Well, I just thought because it's the banners game, so the banners just die anyway. So there's no real. I'd rather have the turn the dragons round to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So they flee off. Well, they flee and then they rally. So the mage is still in there, but it doesn't matter at this point. One of these units of Reavers is dead. The other one I've just pushed into the far corner at the top left-hand side. You can't see. I didn't take a picture of them because it's just Reavers doing nothing. So they're there in the back line. Just like I'll just ignore. I'll just keep them there because they get me a point at least. So the Silver Helms eventually get killed because that's right. His challenges. He issues a challenge and my champion accepts. So that just goes on forever. Because he's got the 2 at ward save.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually kills enough of them that the banner Oh, I think he charges a chariot into the back of them, something like that. Anyway, the Juggernauts come back on and go up the middle of the board, and then he tries to bring everything back round to get back into the deployment zone. I think he gets a few in. So by the end, he's got 6 points, and I've got 4. But because I've got the tournament army, it's actually a draw on 6 all.
Oh dear.
So it pays off.
Serves you right, yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
does that, without the narrative list, does that mean he could take army like rule book items?
I don't think so.
Right.
I think it's a universal rule
because that would have been horrific.
Actually, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
Let's have a look what it says in the comp pack. But that was like we keep saying, you can just throw away units that you're not bothered about.
Yeah.
I mean, the Dragon Princes did have 2 banners in, so I probably shouldn't have done that. But it didn't matter. The dragons, I think, were killed off eventually by the Demon Prince or something charging into some chariot charging into them or other. But it didn't really matter because by that point, it's all the genies ended up having a fight, and I think mine just popped after failing a toughness test. But yeah, it's all narrative.
I think it's great having them where you can just throw them away, but also what I found was like I couldn't just ignore the dragons in my game and go for the banners and go for the reavers because they're flying around. The toughness 7, toughness 6, and you have to waste time dealing with them and not playing the mission. That's what I found anyway, without any magic.
Yeah, it says the armies on campaign for Araby do not have access to the magic items in the Warhammer Rulebook.
Oh, good.
But that because I wasn't bothered about what the dragons were doing. You could be a lot more aggressive with them. I'm going to park them in front of here. I'm going to run them into this because if they die, it doesn't matter, and they can do a phenomenal amount of damage before they die.
Out. Yeah.
Because 2 dragons into the back is not great, but it reduced that to I think there's 6 of them left or something. So it was fun to just fly these things around and
just not care about losing 300, 400 points.
Yeah, that's not what we got. It's not mission. It's not kill points. It's mission points.
That's just brilliant.
Yeah. So that was it was a draw. And it was a good game, and it was a fun. Just to fly the dragons around and say, we'll see if we can take on this huge unit of Corn Warriors. Oh, the Dragon Prince champion versus the Demon Prince. Like imagining what that would actually look like.
Did the Dragon Prince champion have the Star Lance?
He did.
Yeah.
But,
beautiful.
You only need to hit a few lucky 5s and 6s and stuff, and the entire. You've had the Dragon Prince champion or Dragon Prince in general, because cavalry, they've got 1 chance to get the attacks through.
Yeah.
Because he's higher weapon skill, so he's hitting on 4s, and he's much higher initiative, so there's no reroll. That combination isn't that effective, even if he's charging at strength 6. So 4s to hit, no reroll, 4s to wound, and he gets a 5 at ward after it. But what else are you going to do? You just think, they got the banner, they'll be fine. Oh yeah, you can't actually wound them. We'll worry about this later. So that was game.
I can't remember overall who won game 2. I think it was the good guys overall.
It was, because we were tied.
Yeah, I think so.
So going into game 3. I don't think you. Or did you send me anything of game 3?
I did, yeah. Horrifyingly.
Is it this?
I'll see. It's like Vietnam flashbacks.
Another ogre list.
This one, I mean, Chris's.
Yep.
This was completely different to Jake's that I played on game 1. So I was like, ogres, okay, I can deal with them. I've already beaten them. And he put it down. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I also stupidly took first turn, but yeah. So he also had 2 units of. Did he have 2 units of man-eaters? No, he had 1 unit of man-eaters, and it was horrific. It was. I think he ended up having sort of like 7 or 6 with the BSB and Tyrant, or 7 and the Tyrant, and it had Stubborn and Swift Stride, which pairs so well with the Ogre Charge. You think you're rolling your 3 dice, you're just more likely to get that 10. And they had great, they had great weapons. So there was Strength 7. So they were horrible. And then he had his Bulls, and I think they had poison attacks because they had additional hand weapons. He had a Bone Grinder as well. He had a couple of cat. Can't remember. I think that's it, pretty much. He had a couple of cats, that unit, Bone Grinder, and obviously his Genie. With fire as well. So I was just thinking, right, what do I do here? Do I put Grob against his Bone Grinder and just hope that they sort of just start punching each other to death? Or do I just, because everyone was rolling so many 6s against me with Grob, I was thinking, oh no, I'll throw a unit of Skull Crushers. What have I got there? I've got 369, 18 attacks, hitting on 3s and wounding on 6s. I'll get a few through, and who knows, maybe I'll be able to just win combat, and luckily he'll sort of run and I can just chop him down, or he'll fall over or something. Unfortunately, that didn't quite happen. So I put my counter. So this is the one with the counter that you put down, and you've just got to try and have more banners within. Was it 6 inches?
6 inches, and it's the
6
end
inches.
of the end of the whole turn. You get a point for every unit that's within 6 inches with a bargain.
So I went first for some inexplicable reason, and I moved my Marauders right up. I moved that unit of Skull Crushers there right up. Sort of asked around with my Knights there, thinking, oh, maybe I can get a nice flank charge or something. There you go. There, he's got a second unit of man-eaters at the back there. I've got Grob on the left, thinking, oh, brilliant, just marched him up there. I can get some nice arcs on flank charges. I'll just have to deal with the stupid cats. But yeah, hopefully I can just stick around, get into the rear, and it should be all good. Chris then decided to basically charge everything. He charged 1 unit into that Skull Crusher unit. I think they got an Ogre charge. He also charged both the Tyrants unit and the Bulls into the Marauders. He only needed a 5. He got it with the Bulls, but thankfully failed with the Man-Eaters and failed to wish dice it.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I was just thinking, I don't really care about being charged with the Marauders. I'm strength 5, first round of combat anyway. I've got, what was it? I think it's 24 to maybe 36 attacks. Something ludicrous. So I'm hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s. And I just thought this will be fine. I should be able to mulch this unit. I didn't charge, so I can just stand there and back up next turn, make it a harder charge, or just move up and get in the face of that second man-eater unit. Unfortunately, I rolled like a man who's never seen a game of Warhammer ever in his entire life. It was horrible. It brings me to tears just talking about it now.
But what about the rerolls for
what rerolls?
Oh yeah, that's a different army.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's all nice when you can reroll your 3s into more 3s and poisons in a wood. That's lovely. That's beautiful. That's a thing of pure beauty.
Did this make you think, I wish I'd brought the Wood Elves? Or
yeah, I'd just taken a unit of 10 Dryads and then just filled my rare with Eternal Guard like every list.
Keep it fluffy.
But yes, keep it fluffy. So the Marauders completely whiffed their attacks. I think I did 3 wounds over 36 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, and he's not got save. 3 wounds.
Wow.
I just thought, okay, no, that's cool, that's fine. They'll stay there. It doesn't matter. He then proceeded to absolutely mulch the unit. It was just awful. I didn't know what to do with the Demon Prince at this point because I couldn't fit. I was in his front out there, so I couldn't fit there. I couldn't fit into the flank because I think I passed my leadership test, but I didn't really want to. I just wanted to sort of to be overrun and then can deal with it with the Demon Prince who's unbreakable and really hard to kill. And I said it to Chris after. He completely outplayed me. His units of man-eaters obliterated the Skull Crushers. The Knights just got wiped out by that same unit of man-eaters. He just marched stuff onto the objective. The unit of man-eaters with it's 32 strength 7 attacks. Obviously, wounded on 4s on Grob just dropped him. And unfortunately, didn't fall on them, which was my only tactic that game, actually, just to try and... the only way I can do this is just to fall on him. He said, oh, yeah, these have got, what did I say, 32 strength 5 attack, strength 7 attacks. I was like, well, Grob's dead. Let's just fall on them. So it's strength 8, d6 wounds apiece, they'll all be dead. But no, didn't fall on them. My Skull Crusher's on the
strong
right.
Tactic to rely on the death of your units to...
Well, they don't have banners. They don't matter.
No.
They're extendable. My Skull Crushers that went into his Bone Grinder then were embarrassingly stomped all over. So I flew my Demon Prince up. I thought, right, I'm just going to get him into the back lines, try and kill the Tyrant just for some sort of moral victory. He then got whacked to death by the Bone Grinder as well. At some point, I think we almost stopped counting mission points. It was that bad. I think Chris just felt sorry for me. He'd seen my dice and just thought, oh, well, bless him. It must be his first game. It was horrific. It was something like when it was near enough. Like it was like a 20-0. It was god awful. He got at least 2 of his units onto his objective marker. He killed absolutely everything of mine. I didn't have anything left except my genie. So yeah, I just got completely annihilated. And what was a wonderful day's gaming turned into a waking nightmare.
So it ended not necessarily the way you would have hoped.
It didn't even start the way I'd hoped.
That's submarine in it.
For the rest of the weekend, like Chris kept talking, like finding me and talking to me like I was some lost little puppy. like, oh, he's been let out, bless him. Let's keep his spirits up. Yeah. How was your game 3?
Well,
better than mine, I assume.
No, not really.
Oh.
Where's the picture? I was so wrapped up in this game that I forgot to take many pictures of it. And
is that Andy's?
Yes.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
It's such a fantastic looking army.
Unbelievable.
So I did take pictures of the army beforehand because it's the giant in particular is amazing.
Yeah, he is.
But yeah, so this is the one where you've got to get near the objectives. I put my objective right on the top of that hill because I thought, capture the hill, why not? Didn't think about it at all. Didn't really matter in the end. So he's got the Khorne narrative list. This is narrative because he's got there's 2 units of Marauders, I think.
Yeah, 2 units of Marauders.
Is that right?
I think because he came up to me at the start of the day, and I think he said he got 1, and then he went for Warriors just for a little bit more punch.
He's got a unit of Ogres, Bone Grinder Giant.
Yeah.
The what are called Skull Crushers, Demon Prince, and a Chariot. and he wins the roll off, but he gives me the first turn. So
Yeah, which is
the
right thing to do.
correct thing to do. So because he's deployed he's deployed on top of the objective, very compact. There's no real way in for the dragons. That's not going to take me like 3 or 4 turns to get round. So I'm a bit stumped about what to do here. So the first turn, the archmage gets purple sun off on the ogres and kills all but one, which will become relevant later on. I don't do anything because when you I don't want to charge you because if I fail you're going to charge me.
Yeah,
That kind of thing.
And then you just regret doing that.
Yeah, so it's kind of like hovering off. He comes forward a bit off this hill. He tries to make a charge with his demon prince, and he fails, and it lands like, I don't know, 16 inches away from two of me 7s and 6s dragon. And I think, hang on, this is you're never going to get this chance again. Charge the demon prince with 2 dragons who just bounce completely off him. He makes a load of 5-up ward saves, and I think we both burn out the genie in like 3 turns. The wishes are completely used up. So we weren't really playing the mission there. The little dragon, the big dragon flees. The little dragon stays there. So the little dragon gets chopped up by the skull crushers because then they would be in the flank.
Yeah.
Because where the big dragon landed, when he fled, it would be like, I know he's a 9 to rally, however, if he fails, he's going to be off the board. So that stops me from declaring a charge with my dragon princes, because if I make the charge, it'll be out the
out of BSB
range.
Yeah.
So that was like what do I weigh up more? I know how bad I am at rolling leadership tests, and we can't use the genie tests, the genie dice anymore. But because the dragon had fled through the bolt thrower, that panicked the bolt thrower, which meant it couldn't shoot the very nicely lined up flank shot on the juggernauts, which had overran. It's like, well, that's completely screwed that up. He declares a charge of his bone grinder onto my silver helms, who fail their terror test, reroll, fail that. They run off the board. So like within about 3 turns, I had about, I don't know, 4 pieces left.
It sounds like you had a very good dice game as well.
Yeah, I think we're sort of mirroring each other quite a lot across the course of this. So I've got 2 sets of Reavers which are still alive, and in the sort of the back, I've just ran them up as far into the back as possible, and just thought they're there. I can use them later if I need to. He gets the Marauders, I think, right up to where he's put his objective next. There's a tower in my deployment zone. It's right next to that. So he just comes up with these Marauders and stuff up to there. So he gets the Marauders. This little giant is the banner bearer because there's no champion. So because he's now independent character or independent model, he can just do what he wants. So he zips around the tower, and then I can't actually, because I've got so few pieces left. I've just got like the dragon, the big dragon, the mage's dragon, and that's pretty much about it. And a unit of, I think the dragon princes are probably dead by this point, because they probably get chewed up by, what do they get chewed up by? Well, anyway, they're dead, or they're not very relevant. So he's got 2, possibly 3 things right next to the objective that I can't do anything about. And my 2, because by this time the juggernauts have sort of turned back around and they're looking at the where the my objective is. So because you can only score at the end of the round, I can't put anything near there and get a point for it, because he'll just charge into it and destroy it.
Just kill it. Yeah.
So at the end, he's just racking up points after points, and I managed to get like 1 point in by putting the Reavers at differing angles. So if you charged, he'd overrun and go the wrong way, but then reform. But so I lost heavily. I think it was, I don't know, something like a 13-3, I think it was.
Not better than me.
But it was a great game because I think I must have cast Purple Sun 5 times, and it was going to go through the Bone Grinder Giant, but he passed the Genie dice to swap that out, so that didn't do anything. And it was just both our genies were just exhausted by the end. Mission points went out the window casting that, and it was, even though it was irrecoverable from about turn 4. It was still fun because it was like almost a fight and retreat. Like, what?
Yeah.
What? Can I do anything? No, I can't. Can I get a point here? No. Can I do this? So it ended up being. I really enjoyed the game, despite the fact I was being crushed, which is not something you normally say in like competitive tournaments.
No.
So it was actually, but like, this things you just can't account for. I think 2 dragons should rip apart a Demon Prince. They just didn't.
Yeah, you've not just had Rubber Lance syndrome, you've got Rubber Dragon
Rubber Dragon syndrome, yeah.
Yeah.
And the Silver Helms fleeing off the board. Well, that's like, so that's one of my very few units gone. And by the end, I just didn't have enough things to point at the things that were getting them points. Because if I went into one, you had 2 more there, still getting the points. And then there's the threat of everything else, Bone Grinders, everything coming in. So I had to get out of the way of the stuff that could kill me and still point at the stuff that I needed to kill, which is just impossible with that few amount of things on. But it was a loss, but I didn't mind. No. I had a great game.
Similar to me, actually. Yeah, I really didn't mind losing. I've had 2 wins, which is more than I was expecting from the weekend. And obviously, Chris was just so nice to play against. That he was just like, yeah, fair enough. Completely outplayed. At the point,
sorry, go on.
At the point where you're getting outplayed as well, it's just like, well, to be fair, fine. Like if it's just awful luck, then you occasionally like, oh, this is rubbish. But I was just completely being outplayed, so I was just like, oh, yeah, fair enough. Well done.
I was getting grief for spamming 5. I think it was 5 Purple Suns. Like, well, it didn't do anything. So.
And we didn't even hear about those Purple Suns.
No, that was later.
Yeah.
So yeah, end of day 1, win, draw, loss. So average, keeping up the average.
And thing. win, loss. So I was thrilled with how it went, to be honest. And I don't know who won the third one. I think it might have been.
I think it was bad guy. I think it was bad guys, then good guys, then bad guys, then good guys, and then
that sounds right.
There was like the cliffhanger for the last battle.
Yeah.
So after game 3, we had to do the most important section of
the only reason I went to the narrative weekend, really,
which is the quiz. 8th of all.
Yeah, and obviously I went to the real Triple Crown GT with Jack, who was also at the narrative weekend. So we were resident quiz winners because you only went to the sort of the afterbirth GT,
the real one, because you have the warm up. You have the warm up, and then you have the real thing.
No. You have the finals, and then you have like that bronze medal match.
No. You've got the practice event, and then you've got the real thing. Because the answers to the quiz questions in the GTs are the same, so you could learn the practice questions and come and do the real thing.
Well, no, we just went to the real GT and won it. So
you weren't at the real GT. I didn't
Good
see
thing
you there.
too, otherwise you'd have been steamrolled.
Seems unlikely. Anyway, this is 8th of all, so it's 8 questions on, I think it's fantasy in general, rules, then on each of the races, and then on their channel, on the Triple Crown channel, and on the event itself.
I thought it was a lot of work put in by Scott because he did it like Tenable, the game show. So yeah, fair play to him for putting that much effort into it.
But he did it last year. It was the same. It was the same format. So
Was it? Yeah, fair play.
It's really good. Because I'd never seen Tenable.
Oh, missing out.
For the fantasy version.
Yeah.
However, the amount of shit I got for not getting all the high elf questions right is just
Deserved.
No, because it's all about efficiency. Because why get 8 questions right when you only need to get 4 questions right? Because we still won.
Well, yeah. I mean, you team up 2 super giants of the quizzing world. That's what I'm going to call it anyway.
The best thing about that quiz was when I'd had nothing but shit from high H through to W, and then they asked the wood elf question, and you turned white. That
wasn't the questions. We all know that. I remember the question coming and immediately having sort of amnesia, and just like the room went black, the walls closed in. You know that Key and Peele sketch where he's just sweating, just horribly, profusely, as your eyes bored into the back of my head.
I just thought it's revenge. This
I've
had to sit through
this. This is the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Well, I've been looking at, right, I can name all the capital cities of the Elven Kingdoms. I've learnt the magic items off, what they are in the book and where they appear. And then there's a question, what name Tyrion and Teclis's magic items and the
the two most famous High Elves in the game?
Do I never use? So...
Excuses.
Why couldn't they have done Eltharion's items?
What, the blind?
No, the 8th edition one.
No, the real one, the blind.
Well, 6th edition weirdos. But anyway, that didn't impact our performance because we still got free drinks and we're still unbeaten. I mean, they may say the Triple Crown guys technically won, but
one of the questions was like, name the Triple Crown guys. Or name the Triple Crown armies.
I think it was write down the bank details and PIN numbers of the Triple Crown guys, which is difficult if the
internet passwords.
Yeah, unless you're a team made up entirely of the Triple Crown guys, it's going to be hard. But
no, it didn't stop us reigning supreme.
I think the most bizarre bit was both of us fluffing our respective alleged specialist subjects, but
100%.
easily acing the Dark Elf question.
Yeah, the Dark Elf question was horribly easy.
Just name all their special characters.
Name the best army in the game, special characters. Yeah, but like I thought the Wood Elf conundrum would come up whilst I was on the dog walk today, and I remembered the question, and I just reeled off all 8 answers. It was the sheer pressure of having you glaring me down after giving you so much stick. I don't work well under that kind of pressure.
Enjoy it. Like it's very easy to be a critic. It's difficult to actually do it yourself. Like I had a similar experience today when I was cleaning the sink. It's like, oh yeah, that's of course it's Defenders of Ultron.
Crown of Safri, yeah.
Raw Crown of Safri, Jagnar of Venarian, Sunfang, Sword of Teclis, Scroll of Hoeth,
Staff of Leleia.
Moonstaff of Leleia.
Yeah, well, same thing, innit?
Easy as that. Heart of Avalon.
There you go. Yeah.
So technically, I should get
what we actually did is we handicapped ourselves on our respective subjects to let other teams stand up with us longer at the end.
Well, it was close, wasn't it? We only
I think we won by like 2 points.
2 points, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
As always, I don't know if they're gonna, because they're moving venues, and I hope they can still do that crowning the event thing.
70 people.
have to get a mic system on, won't they?
Yeah. I hope so, because
the
quiz is all important. It's just so important.
I know the games are great and fun, but because you don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to think where we're going to go, you don't have to force your way through coked up lunatics in Weatherspoons.
Yeah.
Everyone's there. Everyone's there for the same purpose. You know everybody there. You can talk about the reason why you're there without having to yell or listen to whatever pop music is going on at the minute. Although
No,
some
I
people,
love it there.
yeah. So I hope
mean,
we still can do it.
Well, I wouldn't like. I wouldn't. I know it's a lot of effort on their part, but I wouldn't begrudge 2 GTs again, or something like that. Because, like you say, I hope they can still keep it that personal. It is almost like a personal touch of being at that venue because you're there, aren't you? You don't have to worry.
Yeah, it's another. I mean, that's why I don't mind at all paying the extra money because, like, well, that's probably that is what I'd rather spend my time doing anyway. So
Yeah.
but after we were kicked out at midnight, I mean, some people
And then
went,
we all went to bed, and then we
some
came back for the second day.
some people went
So,
home.
Bart, what was your fourth game?
Well, before the fourth game, I heard some people went to relive their well past youth and went to a trendy bar in the Slug and Lettuce
Oh God,
and continued
I don't.
drinking.
Yeah, I don't know who these people were. I really don't.
I
Let's be
mean,
honest
I would
with.
imagine after a day's worth of drinking on and off, then a night of
Oh,
drinking, that might
yeah.
impact the performance on the next day.
I didn't think that far ahead. Let's be honest. So yeah, so me and a number of other inebriated souls. We went back to the hotel, and then Michael and Jack had the genius idea of going to bed. And I thought, nah, let's go slug and lettuce. I'm 21 again.
It's like how
I'm not.
just look. It's not like some crazy intense place. It's just like a generic wine bar or whatever.
No, it's really not anymore. That's what I thought it was. I thought I'll just go in there, reasonable, chilled out drink. No, it was like being in Revolution. It was awful. Got in, got told to turn my hat backwards instead of forwards.
Right?
Right, like Ash Ketchum.
Yeah.
And then
Nobody in that place would have got that reference.
no, and then crawled. Crawled to the corner of the bar. For some reason, stayed for 3 more, and staggered home across the road to a hotel with a banging headache from some awful pop music, and then fell asleep. And we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, people of a professional nature or your employer might be listening to this, so skip it.
Oh, my wife.
Could be. Is that, well, you binned the t-shirt, didn't you? So
Yeah. T-shirt. The Mark of Corn T-shirt found its way into Corn's embrace.
Nurgle's embrace.
Yeah, Nurgle's embrace, and Colchester will never be the same again after the Sunday morning.
Yeah, that's what they want.
Have you seen this man?
Topless nerds. That's what everybody wants.
It was the fact that we walked past the subway and all 4 of the Triple Crown guys were just sat there in the window eating the sandwiches.
I thought it was funnier after you told me what happened and you had to walk to the venue with no shirt on because you'd left all your clothing in the venue.
Having Jack having suggested we should take the stuff to the hotel the night before,
Yeah,
and me saying, no, what, not necessary.
the funniest bit was when I thought, oh, do you remember all those film crews that were filming some sort of boxcar race? So you could have been on the local news. It's like local derelict goes to Warhammer tournament.
Colchester is in state of disrepair with homeless vagrants walking the streets.
Didn't affect your performance, I'm sure. So
No, not all.
day 2, after you'd been, have a full night's sleep and woken up with a clear head.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yeah. What did you walk into on the first of day 4? Day 4?
Well,
Game 4.
game 4, day 2. I'm sat outside on the bench at the venue, breathing in some sweet oxygen, and this little gremlin just like appears around the corner, rubbing his hands together. And I was lucky enough to face Jack Cropper and his freshly painted dwarfs by me. And Jack, obviously having shared a room with me that night, was fully aware of my capabilities. And Jack is somewhat of my kryptonite as well. I've played him about 10 times and I've beaten him none, not once. So yeah, it's not. It was amusing, but it was also a scenario that was absolutely awful for me because it was that sort of that far off deployment.
Yeah, it was. You
Opposite
were in
corners.
you were in a 2x2 cube or square in complete opposite corners of the board.
Yeah, because I thought about it leading up to the event as I was painting his dwarves. I was like, I wouldn't mind facing this army. I think I can deal with it. It's only got one cannon. Yeah, the Dwarf Lord might be suited up because the narrative did. I think it did help the dwarfs because they could still take all their runic gear, so they didn't really miss out on anything like useful from the army book. So he had a Dwarf Lord that was tooled up to destroy anything toughness 5. It was, I think, he went up to strength 8, D3 wounds, 5 attacks, 6 wounds, something ludicrous. He had 1 cannon with forging. He had 30 hammerers, 30 longbeards, and 2 units of 10 miners. And he had I think it was a water genie, I'm not sure. But it was the fact that he could deploy his cannon on one corner of the board, and I had to be an entire sort of, minimum, like 60 inches away.
Yeah, it's
something
even
ludicrous.
It's even better than meeting engagement because you can't get any further than 2 foot towards them.
Yeah, I couldn't. So I deployed Grob as far forward as I could, basically. And I was just thought, right, well, I'm just going to march 20 inches a turn. Hopefully he just doesn't kill Grob before he gets there. And I can stomp the cannon, then go into his back lines and it'll be fine. He also had a shard dragon, that was it. So he had a shard dragon, so that was something to be wary of. I did not think about getting Grob into the shard dragon. I was just obviously cannon blinded and handicapped in some way. He's just rubbing his hands the entire game, looking at me, shambolically staring down my nose at what I can only describe as despair on a tabletop. So Grob moved round. By turn 3, he was dead. Shot 3 times. I think he did 4 wounds, 4 wounds, 4 wounds, so he's just dead. So Grob got to do nothing. What did he do? He charged his shard dragon into my marauders. Just beat them because they just, even with their attacks, they couldn't get enough in base to base contact to do any 6s. So they fled away, meaning the banners were all broken. So that was great.
It's a good start.
It's a good start. It's a great start. He then just sort of truffle shuffled the rest of his little legs around. I went into the Shard Dragon with my knights. He eventually... What did he do? I think I eventually killed him, actually. I think I might have actually got the Shard Dragon eventually. But he then killed the knights with the Longbeards, killed the Skull Crushers with more cannon shot, that kind of thing. He just eventually just absolutely just killed everything without me even touching. I think Kenneth killed his Longbeards eventually because he's unbreakable. They can't hurt him because they were hand weapon shield, so they were hitting on 4s, wounded on 5s with 2 up armor and 5 up ward. So he was just there stomping them. And eventually, I just thought, whatever, let's go for it. He offered out Beridir on a solo challenge. Like, just walked out the unit, said, "Come on, I know what you like. You'll want to do this." So I charged in to Beridir, and Beridir just one-shotted the Demon Prince. So I'm just I didn't stand up once during the game, which is very unlike me. I don't usually sit down for them. I look over at the Triple Crown guys, and Max is just looking at me laughing. As a grey corpse in the corner gets his ass handed to him by an army he's just painted for someone.
It's almost like it's not hubris, but it's something close. Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think it ended up in. I think I got no points, just a 2 for the narrative list. Because I didn't miss Gath once, and he just kept dispelling. That was fun.
Did your hangover impair? Are you going to blame that, or
No, I don't play well against Jack at all. I won't blame the hangover. I'll blame the lack of sleep and the fact that immediately after that game, I was then mysteriously taken ill.
yeah, it's so badly beaten you that you had to throw up?
Yeah, yeah, he'd hit me so hard in the belly with a hammer that I'd had to then throw up and go lie down on cobblestones. So yeah, and then eat 2 chips because that's all I could handle.
Oh yeah, because
So that went well.
They were shouting out, "Who's these vegan nuggets?" There's one set of vegan nuggets left.
Scott, I think it was Max, brought around lunch here. I was just like, autopilot, yeah, I'll have that. And I put it in, I was like, I don't want any food. What am I doing with my life? So I ate 2 chips, give Jack like 5 nuggets after he's just torn me a new one. So I've painted his models. He's then beaten me to death. I've then fed him. He just pulled my pants down.
It's just a union of circumstances that's conspired against you.
It was horrible. It was a horrible moment. But yeah, and then, meanwhile, like the 2 other guys who came slugging letters, I'm looking over, and they're just like completely fine. Oh, this is awful. This is a horrible moment for me.
Maybe you both spiked. Yeah.
No, I started at 12.
Oh, well, there's your answer then.
Yes. Oh well. Live and learn, eh?
Or
How did Game 4 go for you? Are we allowed to talk about it? Or is it locked in the vaults at Talk Led?
No, I'll talk about it in certain areas. So I was playing Jamie's fantastically painted Chaos Dwarfs.
Gorgeous, aren't they?
Yeah, they are stunning. Like the orange edges on that. I love on all these war machines and these armor.
Yeah.
It's all like orange edging, so it's almost like
Yeah.
flowing. It's fantastic. So we line up, square off. I do a similar deployment to game 1 where they're all bunched up and fly off. So he's got Infernal Guard, I think, with the ranged weapons. What are they called?
Fire Glaze. He was talking to me about what he should take. Because we actually did a warm-up game, so I played a different list to this. Where he just had one big unit of halberds, I think, or hand sword and board. So yeah, we just said take 2 with Fire Glaze.
So that tower's more or less in the middle of the board. So there's one unit of fire. There's another unit of fire glaze on the other side. The genie moves up and occupies the tower itself, and then towards the camera there's the the Skullcracker, Iron Demon,
Iron Demon Skullcracker. Yeah.
and there's a normal Iron Demon, and he's got a Hell Cannon in the back. So I think I know Iron Demons rip apart monsters with their shooting, and there's a Hell Cannon as well, which I don't like the look of that. So,
Have you played against the Skullcracker before?
No, never.
Oh,
I can only assume it slices things up in combat, but
it tears infantry to pieces, and it can do a lot of damage on a charge.
I assume it'd be something horrific.
Yeah, 2d6 impact hits, 2d6 thunderstorms.
Oh, yeah, don't want that. But anyway, you can see the villain of the piece at the top there, the Archmage, the dragon. So because of where I'm deployed, most of his stuff is on this side of the tower. So most of the units there. So I'm thinking, do I put everything countering this, or do I try to get past it on the other side where there's only one unit, and then I can get to the back lines and have a go at his characters or his his Hell Cannon or whatever, because there's a Sorcerer Prophet behind here as well. So I thought, no, I'll put the Reavers they don't do anything; they just hang on at the back. But the Archmage flies round the top there.
Yeah.
He tries to cast Purple Sun at the Fire Glaives, and it falls short. So it doesn't do anything. That's turn 1. Turn 2, the dragon. I just thought, to hell with that. You say throw away big units, just see what they can do. So I just throw them all the dragons at this unit Fire Glaives here. They're stubborn. I think I don't know if they come with stubborn. I don't think there's a Castellan in, but they've got steadfast anyway.
Yeah, I
It
think
will be a
it's
Castellan.
steadfast.
Yeah, because that's just a normal BSB. But whatever, I probably can grind them down with 2 dragons and thunderstorms. And that it doesn't go that well, but it goes well enough. Get countercharged by this Iron Demon here, which at this point, yeah. So the big dragon manages to weather that and stay put. And I think the dragon princes are just behind here, with the banner. I think they're giving them stubborn. He's probably in range of that. So, I'm stalling for time here for as much as possible. Anyway, so turn 2. Oh, is it 3? I hope it's 3, but it may have been 2. The Archmage comes round the corner and lines on the side of the Fire Glaives on the other side of this tower.
Highly suspicious.
Yeah. Then 6 dice as Purple Sun, because it's fluffy like that, isn't it? I think I rolled 3 or 4 6s. So there we go.
You at least do the courtesy of going down the hole.
We'll get to that. And then I roll an 8 on the artillery dice, which takes the Purple Sun beyond the where the Iron Demon is here. So it goes through 2 entire units of Fire Glaives. It clips the back corner of the Iron Demon. I think it leaves 6 left of the unit on the other side of the tower. It reduces. I think there's only like 4 or 5 of them left in this combat at this point, so it reduces them to 2, and then it kills the Iron Demon. And we didn't know what happened in a building for a template. So we
D6.
Yeah, so we asked the Triple Crown guys. So it's D6 hits. So it's D6 initiative tests on this genie. And I roll a 5.
Oh, God.
So the genie.
I mean, the genie's in
well.
initiative 5, isn't it?
Yeah, it's initiative 5, but roll 5 dice, so the 6 comes up. So that's like
no wish dice.
I don't know if he failed the test.
Oh God!
something horrendous happened
I
anyway.
think he might have. Yeah, I think he did say something like
It was either he failed the test or there was 2 6s.
that.
There was some reason why it couldn't
dear.
happen. Anyway,
You're a bad man. You're a horrible,
So-
horrible man.
well, I thought it would feel great to Purple Sun and Army, because you hear, Purple Sun, you can Purple Sun and Army off the board,
Yeah.
and I've never seen it happen, and it's not all it's cracked up to be. It doesn't feel very good at all.
Jamie's face just drop.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm trying to make light of the situation, but he did say didn't enjoy that game, and there's no, I can see exactly why, because it just deletes your entire army off the board. There is no real way to have a good time when that's happening.
No.
I don't think. And if I was in the situation, it wouldn't be it's hard to say, I had a great time when you just deleted my army with one spell. So that's fair enough.
If it's any consolation for you, Matt, he did come up to me after the game and say, "Oh yeah, really nice guy, but I did not enjoy that game."
Well, at least he didn't say I didn't enjoy the game and he was an arse. So
yeah, there you go.
Small win there, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the Skullcracker charges the Dragon Princes and mows them down. I've ran off the Battle Standard Bearer to claim a point here, so he's ran off to try and do some stuff. The Hell Cannon and the Big Dragon have a fight which lasts way longer than I thought it would.
Is that 2 times you stuck a dragon into a Hell Cannon? It's just stuck there.
Every big thing that I've charged the dragons into has done nothing, just bounced off. So the wizard did miscast and he did go down the hole and die. So
justice.
So yeah, but the damage was done at that point.
Well, yeah.
That Six's dragon flies into the Sorcerer Prophet and bounces completely off him. Even the Thunderstomp doesn't kill him. And then he's got some sort of thing where it's like
Black Blood of Hashut.
Is that because it wounds on his armor save?
I think so. I think that's what. Yeah, I think Jamie said he just threw the Black Blood at your dragon and killed it or something like that.
Yeah, it died. So I had to put the previous mount of the mage who's gone somewhere else. He went into the side and killed the Sorcerer Prophet. So you have to expend 2 dragons to kill 1 Sorcerer Prophet. The Dragon Princes run off, pursued by the Skullcracker. The Hell Cannon is eventually killed. But it's a lot closer. I think it's either 6-6 or 6-5. And at the end of turn 5, Jamie says, well, the game could end after this, because I was weighing up, do I do the genie thing now, or that's where the Silver Helms. So that goes into the last. They're going at the last character to stop claiming that in the middle. Because it's turn 5. I think, well, if it ends, I've lost. Or if I pop him now and I only roll a 1, that's the best I can do is a draw. But in fact, what could have happened is he could have challenged out that character could have challenged out the
Silverhelm
champion and survived that, and then sacrificed himself on the next turn, which would have been a win. So I think, well, I'll just have to risk it, kill the genie, and I roll a 6, which takes away. So just not only Purple Sun the entire army off the board, then stealing all 6 mission points.
Well, that has reminded me of what happened in my one against Jack, actually, that I forgot to mention. Turn 5, I think, okay, this is not going well. Kill my genie, roll a 1. It goes on next turn. Jack kills his genie, rolls a 6.
We are having a mirrored experience. So,
yeah,
not the greatest moment in Warhammer in a fluffy, narrative-friendly.
Are we calling it a dirty win?
Yeah. Not one I'm particularly proud of, but it is a stunning army.
Yeah, there you go. You Purple Sunned a stunning army.
and then felt bad about it. So I've got a conscience. So that put it out. I think bad, good, bad, good. I think that was the good guys won the overall battles there, which put it on a knife edge for the last game.
Good.
Which was for you. I don't have any pictures of.
I just have the genie conflict that I sent you, but it might not be worth putting up.
Harsh. There you talk, and I will dig it out.
So yeah, my last game, having just been annihilated by dwarfs, was against John Lamin's dwarfs,
Oh, nice.
who also had a shard dragon, who also had a horde of great weapon longbeards with tooled up in exactly the same way Beridir, so to annihilate anything that's toughness 5.
Sensing a theme here.
Yeah, it's good. BSB, but he did have, instead of 2 units of like 10 miners, he had 1 unit of like 20, 25 miners. He then had a unit of 10 quarrelers, 10 thunderers, and an organ gun and cannon. So I did think, well, this is, at least with meeting engagements, as it was just 12 inches, not 6 inches, it's a great scenario for me to just go, yeah, up the board. I'm in your face, turn 1. He rolled his grudge and got everything hates everything, which Jack also got.
Standard.
So that was good. That was fun. But by this time, the previous taken ill had worn off, and the fact that my brain was concentrating, I felt fine. So game on.
Full recovery.
Full recovery. So I deployed my skull crushers on the left, and with the marauders of this massive tower that was practically in the middle of the board, and they were both just facing off against his horde of longbeards with the characters and organ gun. And the shard dragon was just on that side as well. Then on the other side, I had my chaos knight, Scorby, skull crushers, and demon prince. And he had his shooting units on that side. Obviously, the miners were off the board for now. So I just thought, right, sod this. I took first turn, which was great, and just marched everything up the board full speed, except the marauders and skull crushers on this side were a bit more cagey because the shard dragon and long beards I didn't really want anything to do with for now. So I just thought, right, they'll get 1 turn of shooting with their crossbows and handguns. I kept Rob and Demon Prince hidden behind that massive tower for turn 1. I just moved everything up. He got 1 turn of shooting and did basically nothing. So I charged the Gore Beast, the Demon Prince, and the Juggernauts into the handgunners or Thunderers and Quarrelers. Gore Beast failed, but the Crushers and Demon Prince got in. They completely wiped both units, then overran off the board so they couldn't be shot, which I thought, lovely, brilliant. So then I just moved around. So it's going lovely. He has a gyro bomber, and it's just trying to drop bombs on my knights. Eventually takes them down to just the banner. And for the rest of the game, it was like a Benny Hill sketch with that tower. Just standard Barry just running around with the gyrocopter chasing it, dropping bombs, chasing it, dropping bombs. And that was basically it until the last turn of the game for those two. You can see here in the picture that we've got exactly the same 3D printed genie. So the rest of the Triple Crown guys came over and just said to John, why aren't you just having genie on genie action? So we just agreed to march them both out, ran at each other, and just had a pillow fight for 5 turns with the 2 genies, until eventually, having done 3 wounds the first round of combat, and him doing none until the last round of combat, he killed me. I didn't kill him. He did fail his toughness test once, but wished it back, so he was fine. So I lost my genie to his genie. The Demon Prince then came on and charged into the organ gun at the back of the lines. Obviously killed that. The Gore Beast ran across, killed the. I think it killed the cannon. And the miners, the Demon Prince and the chariot killed the miners. Then both overran into the artillery. The Skull Crushers came on and got absolutely annihilated by the Shard Dragon. Its breath weapon's disgusting. Its strength 10 rolls against leadership.
Oh yeah.
And no armor saves. Obviously, it's strength 10. So it just absolutely minced the unit of Skull Crushers.
Are they leadership 8?
8, yeah. And they were out of range of the Demon Prince because he's not a large target. But it means he's blown his breath weapon for Grob. I mean, Grob's leadership 10, but at least I'm not going to be wounded on 4s to that. So I eventually just decided to put Grob into the Shard Dragon. And so begins Grob's final heroic act of the tournament, which was to jump up and down on the Shard Dragon until it was dead. But that was fun. The Demon Prince charges the back of the Longbeards, who had been held up by the other unit, Skull Crushers, for 3 turns, which was just ridiculous. And then I challenged out Beridir, and they didn't kill each other. I think they both ended up on 1 wound by turn 5, and then it was the random turn length, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we rolled the random turn length, and we finished on turn 5. My Marauders had gone into the back of the Longbeards, and I got them down to 5 Longbeards and to the BSB and Beridir. So I think if it had gone 1 more turn, I could get Grob into the flank of that unit. And I think I'd have managed. I think me and John worked it out because we were both 6 dice in the mission point spell, and neither one of us was miscasting. So that was rubbish. But we worked out that if we'd have played 1 more turn, he might have won by 1, or I might have won by 1. But in the end, I think John ended up, because of that, he won by like 5. But I have to say, this was probably my favourite game of the weekend because it was just really, really bloody. It was just move forward, whack things, and it was ludicrous. There was some stupid dice rolls. So yeah, I had a really good time on that game, but unfortunately finished the entire weekend having gone 2-0 to be 2-3, and 2 heavy losses to dwarfs. I'm blaming my state on the second day, frankly.
Not enough Alka-Seltzer. That's my diagnosis.
Jamie kept coming across and offering me Barocca, and I was just like, no, stop trying to ply me with Barocca. And then you said, have a pint.
Yeah, hair of the dog.
I can only imagine how that would have gone.
Swift recovery.
Oh, God, no. Painted models in something that shouldn't be painted. Anyway, how was your final game?
Well, nothing got painted and stuff it shouldn't be painted. I ended up playing Barry and his Orcs and Goblins, so I was very happy about that. Have you seen his army?
No.
It's brilliant. It's like 2 massive blocks of Orc boar boys, big horde of Savage Orcs, a little unit of Savage Orcs, a few bits and pieces of Goblin artillery, a unit of Goblins, 2 chariots, and a level 4, I think, on the. I forget which one. It must have been the big.
It must be little because they had to have a Savage or big boss, war boss, didn't they?
Yeah.
But I suppose you could fit both in.
And then you had a level 2 on the little one. I think that's how it was. Or it might be the other way around. Anyway. So this was just a really nice, a really great game. And because I got me 2 wins, even though one of them was in questionable circumstances, and only 1 loss. I don't actually. Not that I'm playing to win anyway, believe it or not, based on what I'd just done in the previous game. I wasn't bothered about what happened on the end, like winning, losing, or drawing. Because I got 2 wins. I can say I've at least the worst I can do is 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw.
Yeah.
And Barry's just a really nice guy to play against.
Yeah.
So deployed my army across, like you're saying, it's just 2 armies facing each other 24 inches apart. Just put the dragons interspersed between the knights. The mage goes up the side in a familiar tactic that you'll probably have seen in the previous battle. Oh, there's a close up of Barry's Savage Orcs. That is like Bet Lynch
classic.
the Orc there.
Yeah, that is classic.
So anyway, they come forward. He fails a few animosity tests, but it's not that horrendous. They come forward, the savages in the middle, but they're the closest thing that I can charge. I think, well, I'm just going to see what the dragons can do. So the Silver Helms, the dragons, go into this unit of Savage Orcs. So the dragons are in the front, the Silver Helms are in the side. I've flown I don't know if I've got it up here. Oh, no, that's another one. I fly the mage up to the far side beyond that big Savage Orc unit because there's a chariot there. I try to snipe it out with Spirit Leech or something that doesn't work. So I cast Purple Sun. Don't hate me. I managed to kill 1 chariot and I think 2 Savage Orcs because it only clips the unit. And then I do the same.
You aimed it to only clip, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only way. I wanted to kill the chariot because if he charged the impact hitted the dragon, or it could kill the mage or whatever. But I'm lined up on the next turn. I'm lined up to basically do the same thing, put Purple Sun all the way through the army. And Barry's going, well, go on then. You know, the next thing is to Purple Sun it. Like, if you've played Barry before, he's completely not bothered that you're going to do that kind of thing. Oh, go on, that's the thing to do. And like, I'm not going to do it. I refuse to cast Purple Sun for the rest of the game because I wanted to actually have a game, not end it in turn 2. So I want points for that. I want sportsmanship points.
It wasn't because of the stick.
I think if I'd Purple Sun Barry off the board in turn 2, I'd have probably been exiled.
And lynched. Chased out of Colchester.
But I didn't want to do it. It wasn't just because of the physical consequences. So anyway, the dragons go into them and the Silverhelms go into the side. They overrun into the Savage Orcs. So the dragons do sort of they're in the front and the Silverhelms are in the side of the Savage Orcs. For whatever reason, the Silverhelms make loads of saves. When he's making attacks back, they win. So that unit's run down. I think the Savages the big unit last 2 turns. They end up getting killed. The pigs come round to kill the bolt thrower. His artillery shreds the dragon princes. They don't get a save against doom divers and stuff. So I think there's 3 of them left. So I just run, try to help. They're out of it, so they just run off, hide somewhere. He doesn't get any like the movement spells, Hand of Gork or Foot of Gork or anything like that. So they're not really under threat by that. I think the bolt thrower kills a few pigs, and he gets killed. The Reavers might die if there's some kind of shooting. But it all sort of happens up there. So there's like this big melee, which I got this exciting picture of. But at this point, that's the Sixers dragon trying to kill the Doomdiver catapult, which you can't do. It bounces off that on its charging turn, and I think it's down to like 2 wounds. So we go about three rounds going. Can this crew actually? Because they're the same initiative. Can this crew actually kill the dragon? Which they can't in the end. But that was like the dragons bouncing off stuff. That's the ultimate example of that.
It's the ultimate rubber dragon.
The big dragon manages to kill. It takes them 2 rounds to kill the genie as well because of the ward saves and that. the silver helms turn around and go into the goblins behind. These are not night goblins because you couldn't take them. So I was like hovering around, going, "Is something going to happen at 8 inches?" Like, no, there's no night goblins here. Like, oh, okay. Was not
That's all
expecting
right.
that. Yeah, it's better than I thought.
Hasn't surprised.
Yeah. So I think we get to 5 turns, and I think it's something like 6-3 or something like that. We're missing, but we weren't really keeping much track. Or I get the D3 for the. I kill the general. I get the D3
Yeah.
for the banners. I think I cast the spell about two or three times, maybe, but it didn't really matter. It was just a really nice way to finish the event.
Yeah, well, you playing your last game against the person who won most sporting's not a bad way to end, is it?
Yeah, well deserved. You got a point.
Yeah.
You got the point from me because it was just such a nice way to end, and it's just like it was a. I mean, it's not a competitive environment really, but it was just a really chill way to end the tournament or event. But unfortunately, the good guys lost, and it was all tallied up. Jezebella managed to defend her kingdom, and
the rightful forces took home the glory.
so all that rebuilding defense contracts that were signed, it was all for nothing.
Yeah, shove your democracy back where the
Yeah,
sun don't shine, where the
yeah.
purple sun don't shine.
Yeah, the enemies of liberty and freedom and democracy had a minor prevailed temporarily. Yeah, that was that. But
There you go.
I really enjoyed the last one. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I have to say it was my first narrative, and it won't be my last.
No,
Like you say, it's just a different way of playing.
it,
You getting to put toys on the board that you don't usually.
yeah, there's
But
no way I'd be.
people have got different lists. You're not coming up against Dark Elf list A or Wall of Nurgle. So yeah, it's just really nice.
And I think it was nice that as many people as could bought into the narrative list thing because
Yeah.
I mean it's not possible for everyone, and there's no restriction on not like say you can't bring a non-narrative list, but
Yeah.
it's it all builds in the theme, like they're all.
It makes it worthwhile for the guys running it, doesn't it? If they're running a narrative and two
everyone
people
just
run
brings
everyone just
Alarielle
brings.
World Dragon
Yeah.
banners.
Then what's the point? But no, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I hope they do.
And quiz champions again.
Quiz champions didn't win the event altogether. Chris, you played.
I played, yeah.
He had
Ogres.
5 wins, so he got.
Yeah, he was the only person, wasn't he?
Yep, he got the tray. The tray of victory.
Yeah, he went up to table 1 second game and stayed there.
Jack did well, didn't he? He got 4.
Jack did do well, yeah.
4 wins in the draw.
Yeah, he did. He did really well, actually. Yeah.
Don't know how we lost. We had all the best players.
Well, no, Chris said he was just tired of carrying you all.
Good thing he said that after I'd dropped him off. Like
after you'd driven 4,000 miles.
It's a nice 5.5 hours home. It's nothing. That.
Oh, God.
Don't mind driving at night because there's nothing else on the road. Coming down was a different story.
That's true.
But yeah, that was another narrative. If you've never been to a narrative before, I would strongly recommend them. Just for something
absolutely.
A bit fun, as they say, and using models that you don't. It's actually inspired me to paint the Carmine Dragon after somebody gave me it for free, and I just repaid the gratitude by keeping it in a bag for 2 years and doing nothing with it. But now he's painted, so I can use him again.
Perfect. There you go.
Don't know if I'll use death magic again, but we'll see.
Yeah, why don't you just bring a Carmine Dragon with Elspeth von Draken on it?
That
seems your.
She's not.
Yeah, that seems your kind of.
She's not an elf. She's not an elf. You can get a emperor.
Elspeth.
We're cutting that out. You can get an emperor Carmine Dragon on death, who's 700 and something points.
Yeah. with a ridiculous breath weapon as well.
Just D3 wounds in a cannonball line.
It's like a cannonball, yeah.
Maybe next year I'll bring that.
But yeah. You got any more events lined up?
There's Scotland, which is probably going to be the last one of the year, which I'm thinking of. Well, I was up until game 4 thinking of bringing a Archmage and a Dragon with Death and a Phoenix Guard Horde.
Wait, is Scott going to that?
Yes. And
Well, then you won't be the only one with Death Magic, so you're all right.
But it's only a one-dayer, so taking a positive list is more impactful. But I've got a +4 Highlander, which is a concept I've never been familiar with until trying to get a positive list. So I managed to get a +4 with a Phoenix Guard Horde and a level 4 on Death on the Dragon.
Only one unit of Reavers, basically.
Yeah, one unit of Reavers, one Eagle, one of everything.
On Phoenix.
Yeah. The list writes itself.
It's fluffy. It's a Phoenix list.
It's got Phoenix Guard in it. It's fine.
Yeah, there you go.
Phoenix Guard are famous for teaming up with Death Archmages. Is that you for the year then, or you got anything else?
Event-wise, yeah, but I think there's a group of us, as you well know, going to Warhammer World on the 26th of October.
Which has been
you
at a time.
decided that you're above us.
Well,
and we're beneath you.
If they will decide to plan these things on days I'm not available without checking with me first,
have a word with Rob. That's all I'm saying.
It seems to be the common denominator in causing issues.
Yeah, we'll go for that, and I'll probably take Wood Elf now because I'm having withdrawals in terms of not reroll.
You have to get
need my reroll.
Them 2 ladies on that big bird.
Oh, they're an auto include. It's just an auto include. I don't know how they're +1 comp.
It's just as good as a Alariel, but
better. You can't kill these.
Well, let's look no further into it. Right, well, thank you for coming on and regaling us.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Or one more time. Hinting on what might be to come.
Oh, there you go. All right, I'll keep my top on for that one.
No, that's not what we agreed.
It's in the contract.
Well, thanks again, and we will see you on the next one.
Cheers, see ya.